And now without Steph Curry, Steve Kerr's job is trying to figure out what lineup is going to work the best. He went 14 deep today, played 14 guys over the course of the game, trying to get guys going, trying to figure out who's going to be the good lineup, who's going to give them an offensive punch. One thing I will say that was a good thing after this game is Jonathan Kuminga came out, had 18 big points, really showed that he can be the offensive spark off the bench. I thought TJD, big fella, did a great job, but Steve Kerr is going to have to figure out a way to get Jimmy Butler going because he has to be the fulcrum for this team moving forward.
Not only Jimmy Butler, but some of the other guys as well, Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody, JTA.
Absolutely. Look, this offense is basically predicated around Steph Curry, and it has been since he's been a part of Golden State's organization. So, you know what? Losing Steph was a big blow, but as Fezzi said, TJD and JK, they came into the game, found a rhythm, and those are two guys who have not been in the rotation. So I thought that was a silver lining from the game tonight, because it was a tough game for the guys.
Molly, we talked about Minnesota's cold shooting for the three-point line, 12 of 76 the last two games. Tonight they go 16 of 47, and you hope there's no carryover effect. There's a lot of guys on that T-Wolves roster got a lot of great looks from the perimeter.
Yeah, and pre-game, Steve Kerr was talking about the #1 defense in the league since Jimmy Butler has arrived. And tonight, the T-Wolves, as you said, Bonte, they got loose from three. They score 117. They shoot over 50% from the field and 43% from the three. So they got their offense going. But, they got off to a 13-0 start. And then Steve Kerr, went deep, and he played 14 guys. So he tried every combination of players, but couldn't really find any traction. And I thought, as Faye said, they got the split, which is what they needed. But to try and steal tonight's game, they needed a big, huge game from Jimmy Butler. That was not there. Draymond was lackluster offensively. Buddy Hield was okay. So no one really had that big game to keep it close. And once they built that 22-point lead, the Warriors made a few runs. They cut it to 7 at one point, and then they went right back to double figures. So, I don't think the T-Wolves are playing great basketball, but you said the concern would be, for me, Anthony Edwards looks a little out of sorts. Statistically, he did okay, but if he wakes up, then all of a sudden, they got some guys. Julius Randle had a really good game. The first time he scored 20 in 6 games against the Warriors. So you got to concern yourself that they find their rhythm when they get here to San Francisco.
Fezzi, 65-58 midway through the third quarter. Warriors going on a run there. Then the turnovers. And then shot clock violations really did them in as the T-Wolves ended the third quarter on a 20-7 run.
Well, with no Steph Curry, it means you don't have the offensive punch. You're losing about 30 points a game. So with that, you can't afford turnovers. The Warriors had what? How many turnovers they had today? 20. They had 20 turnovers, all right? 20 turnovers given the other team, Minnesota Timberwolves, gave them 22 points off of those 20 turnovers. You just couldn't afford those turnovers. I thought Moses Moody had some really tough possessions where he got the ball with like 2 seconds left to try to do something, and he's throwing up these grenades. Those are tough situations. I want to see Jimmy Butler get into the flow of the offense earlier. He's now the point guard, especially if he's going to have the ball in his hands. He's got to get into the flow of the offense. You don't have Steph Curry to hit those bailout shots right now, so you got to get more ball movement, more player movement. It can't just be stagnant offense.
Absolutely. Freddy talked about the flow. The pictures just don't look the same. The advantages just are not the same when Steph isn't on the floor. You're not putting the defense in rotation. A lot of these guys aren't attracting 2 defenders to the ball as Steph Curry is. So, we're not getting the 3-on or the 4-on-3 advantages and things like that. So guys are catching the ball and, with a defender on them, with a grenade. So it makes shots tough.
Yeah, Moses Moody, 2 air balls there during that third quarter run by the T-Wolves, and that's where they blew the game back open there at the end of the third quarter, and it was all T-Wolves in the fourth. But one guy who may have earned himself some minutes moving forward is Jonathan Kuminga.
There we go, Bonte.
4 DNPs so far in the playoffs.
Around here.
I'm ready for you to yell Eric Congo. Look at this move right here on Anthony Edwards. He has that in his arsenal. I think people forget about that. The little midi from 10 feet out, 18 points, 8 of 11 from the floor, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Started rebounding in the second half. All 5 of those rebounds, Fezzi, came in the second half.
I know y'all call me glass half full, Fezzi. I get it. But, Bonte, this is a move that can really help the Warriors. This game was not really about winning. It was about getting your bench, getting your role players involved. Eric Congo was in the building. I can't wait till later to get active. But look at this. Look at this finishing. This is the X factor. Jonathan Kuminga has the athleticism. He has the ability to make shots. He can be that punch that can get you over the hump.
I absolutely think he can be that punch. And I think he can be that punch, especially in the non-Steph minutes. He puts so much pressure on the defense, getting downhill, putting pressure on the rim and drawing defenders. Spraying out. I think once he gets that down, then he can be incredible, an incredible talent.
You see the efficiency, you see the 18 points, 5 rebounds. Most importantly, you see the 26 minutes. You know, so if a guy plays 5 minutes, I get it's the playoffs, but you cannot judge a player in 5 minutes, okay? You're going to micro manage every single thing he does. When the guy plays significant minutes, he's a big-time player, big-time talent. And this Minnesota team, much like the Rockets, they're athletic across the board. They got length. They can switch on the perimeter. You know, you think about Naz Reid, McDaniels, Walker. These guys are big-time athletes. They're very switchable on defense. They're long and offensively. They can spread the floor. Tonight, JT, you mentioned they were getting to the paint consistently. So, you know, the point of attack defense is so important against this team.
JK can help there too.
I want to put it in context, okay? So Buddy Hield last game struggles in the first half. Comes in the second half, and he goes crazy from the three-point line, really pushes the Warriors over the hump to win the game. Jonathan Kuminga has not gotten the minutes to be able to show what he has. He's been a little bit off rhythm, and with due cause. Like, he was out of the rotation. He didn't play in the play-in tournament, didn't play both games, didn't play the first round, really. So now this is a chance for Steve Kerr to really have JK back in the fold, to get some rhythm, get some confidence. You know the talent is there. He can score, he can defend. You just got to get him going and get him really bought in back in the system.
Yeah, he's definitely going to play in Game 3. There's no doubt about that without Stephen Curry. And another guy who found some rhythm and got some confidence was Trace Jackson-Davis. We joke around here that he hasn't played since the Rising Stars Challenge back during the All-Star break. But you guys didn't even recognize it when he came on the court. He's got a full beard now. But how about TJD going a perfect 6 for 6? How about your big there, Fezzi? Fell 15 points and 6 rebounds in 19 minutes.
Big fella. Look at him. Look with the full beard. Last time I saw TJD, he had a fresh face. I think he might have started growing this beard the last time he was playing consistently. But TJD is another guy who is an athlete. He's another guy who can give you this finishing around the rim. You worry about rebounding when you're going against a big Minnesota Timberwolves team. They're #1 in offensive rebounding in the playoffs so far. Tonight, the Warriors out-rebound them again. Rebounded 42-39. The Warriors do it. So they're taking care of that part. The bench is doing their part. TJD came in and brought a spark. They were able to cut it down to 7 when they were up 20. It'll be different if the Warriors start off the game with some energy, with some punch like they did in the second half.
Absolutely. Look, TJD, I think he's a pro's pro. I think these were incredible minutes from him tonight. Obviously, in a loss, everything gets downplayed, so you don't really see the impact that he's having. But I think it goes to show how deep this team is and how deep they can be.
Willie, is there any carryover for Jonathan Kuminga and TJD taking this game, Game 2, into game number 3 at Chase Center?
No question. It's all about confidence, and that's what it's. JK had a great game, especially after not playing a bunch of games in a row, so that's good for him. TJD, same thing. He came in, as JT said, he always stays ready. He had statistically a great